Good afternoon, everyone, and it's just struck 1 p.m, so we're about to start one of our midweek reflections and services. A warm welcome to everyone to St. Peter Mancroft, whether you are in the church building or whether you are joining us live on YouTube or catching up later on. If you are in the building, please still feel free to look around, walk around at your own pace, and of course purchase cards from the charity Christmas card shop if you would like to. On a Wednesday, we have one of our reflections on the theme of looking for meaning and purpose. And these happen every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And just to introduce myself, my name is Michael Winter and I am part of the ministry team and on the Creating Space for God programme here at St. Peter Mancroft. Since the dawn of time, humanity has been telling stories. Telling a story is a great way of passing down traditions, teaching lessons and learning lessons, and recording victories and defeats. They're a way of expressing something that is important to hold on to. Now, the earliest forms of storytelling would have been oral, someone either saying something or making sounds, expressions in their face, gestures. But the earliest forms that we can still see recorded today would have been things like rock art or cave paintings, some of which that are still visible today date back 30,000 years and can be found in Africa. These cave paintings tell stories of great hunting expeditions and even other major life events such as weddings. And there's some great ones where you can see a woman having her hair done up nicely for her wedding. After cave paintings and rock art came carvings into stones. And these would have been done by greater civilizations and depicted scenes from royal hunts, major battles, and sacred rituals. And the development from those stone carvings would have then been offering meaning and a purpose to those symbols. The early form of writing would have been illustrations. And suddenly, these past narratives no longer were necessarily passed on orally, where things can get often confused, but were then written down, literally set in stone. And that once people had learned how to read them, they could read that story, and it had a clear narrative. And then most recently still, our ways of communicating stories have vastly revolutionized the way we tell stories. Photography, the art of capturing an image in the moment, and then later on, video, capturing something in a moment whilst it was still moving and being able to replicate that movement. Humanity has told stories through art, dance, theatre, music, poetry. This list goes on and on of creative ways of telling stories that capture the listener and pass on a message. I'm sure many of you have heard of different fairy tales, either when you were a child having them read to you, or maybe reading them to your children. These fairy tales were initially written to teach something to children, but in an imaginative way. For example, the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel teaches children the dangers of running off into the woods. And then there's also Aesop's fables, where each one has a moral behind it. Slow and steady wins the race. Be happy with what you have. Don't underestimate yourself, just to name a few. In the Bible, Jesus tells stories which are often called parables to help explain something to his followers, to his listeners. Many well-known examples include the parable of the lost sheep or the Good Samaritan. In these examples, Jesus is using scenarios, imagery that his listeners would have been familiar with, but using them in a way that he can teach an important message. So, while stories can teach us lessons by using familiar scenarios and ask us to put ourselves within them, they can also tell us a lot about the storyteller. We all have our own life stories, which are constantly being updated and extended as we go about living our lives. These personal stories, or at least the version we tell ourselves and others, give off an impression of who we are as people. And often we edit parts of those stories, and sometimes that is a good thing. As an example, as I welcomed you to this reflection, I introduced myself, I told you my name, I told you my part of my role here at the church, being part of the ministry team here. I told you those parts because they're the most relevant part of my story for you in this instance, for what I was about to do. If I'd introduced myself with my name and then said I used to play cricket for a local cricket team, that wouldn't have given my voice any authority or a reason to be standing up in front of you. You didn't need to know the rest of my story. It's a bit like when you go for a job interview and you're asked the question, what would you bring to this job? You're going to tell the interviewer the parts of you, the parts of your story that are relevant for the job. You're going to edit out those bits that aren't relevant. But how often do we embrace our full story, our full selves? After all, everything that has happened in your life so far has made you become the person that you are. As I was reflecting on writing this reflection, I thought about moments in my own life, times where I was wondering what the purpose of certain events were. Why did this thing happen to me? Why did I react in this way? But looking at them now, embracing those experiences, and looking at them as the person I have become, those experiences have made me the person you see before you. The stories we tell ourselves are powerful things. And a negative story, a negative experience, can often feel like a bag of bricks that we're lumbering around, weighing us down and affecting our lives. But that experience has made you the person that you are. And something we forget in all that is that you are loved. God loves you. He loves you for who you are. And that includes all your strengths and successes, and your faults and failings, your negative and positive stories. I truly believe that. Embracing our full selves, embracing and accepting those negative things that have happened in our lives, which we cannot delete from our lives, but can use to make us stronger and better people who are looking to make a change in the world, is the only way that we can find meaning and purpose in our lives. In the Disney film The Lion King, there is a great scene where Simba, the lion, is confronted by the spirit of his dead father, someone who he believes he has caused the death of. And the spirit of Simba's father, Mufasa, says to Simba to remember who he was, rather than to keep running away from his past, running away from that negative part of his story. And Rafiki, the mandrill, who's the kind of spirit shaman of the story, he says that after hitting Simba on the head with his stick, oh yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. So as we come to the end of this reflection and reflect on our own life stories and the image of ourselves we project on the world, embracing all aspects of our lives, I'd like to invite you now to join with me in prayer. Loving God, we thank you for your love of us. We thank you that you are loving of all aspects of us, all the things that we see as good and all that we see as negative. Help us, Lord, to embrace our stories. And help us to live fully in your light. We make this prayer through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you very much.